Some dogs are particularly difficult, you know. Some dogs are so difficult that they can't be rehomed. I was up in Shack Sanctuary up in Northumberland. Met a guy on Monday called Steve Wiley who had been running that place for about 10 years. And Steve deals with the most desperate dogs, you know, the dogs that are literally just about to be put to sleep because they've got like destroy orders on them and stuff like that. And he takes them and gives them a second chance, certainly gives them somewhere to live anyway. And it was unbelievable. And there was a lot of success stories still came out of that by using some of the stuff that Claire had just been talking about there, you know, being patient with the dog and giving the dog time to work through the issues. And there was one dog called Mona, a little staffy, who had been with Steve at Shack for 10 years because she was really frightened when she first came in, like, you know, unbelievably frightened, couldn't function really. And through slowly working with her, he managed to put her right, essentially, and sent me some pictures of her just been recently rehomed with a forever home, and now she's enjoying trips to the pub and you know, sitting with the owners. And it was just like, it was unbelievable, you know, to think that a dog had been there for 10 years. And so I did. Giving up on a dog is easy, you know, and sometimes it's too easy, obviously, from a lot of the dogs that I've seen around. But anyway, we're not just here to talk about difficult dogs, because next we're going to be talking about puppies. And puppies are dead easy, aren't they, Nick? So this is Nicola Davies. She's the puppy nanny. And over to you.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Nicola Davies. I teach training classes and my speciality is puppies, so they call me the puppy nanny. Now, the talk that I'm going to be doing today is going to be useful for those of you who might rescue a puppy or a young dog, but also with new puppies as well. So hopefully it's going to kind of cover a few different bases. There's going to be something for everyone. So I'm going to introduce you to a few rescue dogs that I know. And these are all happy rescue stories. So we've got Ziva here. She was rescued from abroad, and she's quite happy now snuggling on her owner's sofa. We've got Hamish here. He was quite a giddy dog. He got given up to rescue because his family couldn't deal with him. And he's now happily rehomed, running around in fields all day long. Molly, cute little fluffy dog, she was abandoned at a rescue. They basically just got bored of her because she wasn't so cute anymore. And she'd grown out the puppy stage, and she was having a few issues, and a wonderful new family adopted her. Fergus and Felicity, they were two siblings, and they basically were adopted because what a great idea to get two puppies. What could possibly go wrong? And they were actually rehomed under 4 months of age. So the home that they're with now, they've had them since they were 4 months old, but that's their second home already, which is terrifying. So it's lovely seeing all of these sorts of things. It's like sort of the before and after pictures that you see of exercise and things like that. You see what happened before and then you see what happened afterwards, and you don't necessarily kind of see all of the hard work that goes in the meantime. So part of my kind of training before I started teaching classes and things like that, I've worked with quite a few rescues, in particular Labrador rescues, and I was always really shocked and horrified at how young some dogs would be going into there. So quite commonly there'd be lab pups of about 6 months old ending up in rescue. And I couldn't believe it. I'd always sort of imagined that rescue was for much older dogs. It was maybe dogs that were kind of 3 or 4 or even much older dogs as well. I couldn't believe that people would have a puppy for sort of, 8, 10, 12 weeks and then decide they'd had enough of it and give it up to rescue. And really, there's a lot of kind of similarities between puppies generally and dogs that do end up in rescue, because they miss out on one main thing. They miss out on socialisation. So puppies, they need socialisation, but also dogs that end up in rescue, they may not have had that socialisation because they're in rescue for a period of time. And also some dogs in rescue will have a bit of a late puppyhood as well. So what will happen is they don't get to spend that time being puppies, and it will come out later on. So one of the things that we've got to do with puppies and any rescue dogs as well that we've got to try and work on what they like and what they don't like. So it's quite hard to tell what our dogs like and what they don't like, but that's going to be the foundation for any sort of training and socialisation programme that we do with them. So I'm going to get everyone to do a little game, if that's okay. So I want you to get in, you can stay where you are. I want you to go in partners, so partner up with whoever's next to you. And we're going to do a little game of likes and dislikes. So you're going to go in your partners, and what you're going to do is one of you is going to be the observer and one of you is going to be the puppy. And what I want you to do is I'm going to show you a series of slides, and I want you to communicate with your partner, whoever's the puppy, I want you to communicate with your partner whether you like or you dislike what's in the picture, but you're not allowed to say anything to them, okay? So you're not allowed to speak at all. You've got to try and communicate to them whether you like or whether you dislike it. Okay? I'll explain any that maybe don't make sense. Right, you ready? Okay, so first one. Do you like or dislike this one? Okay? Right. Okay, next one. It's not specifically Liverpool, although my husband is a Liverpool fan, it's just football. It's just football in general. Do you like or do you dislike football? Okay. Flying. Anyone keen on flying or not keen on flying? Okay, this is one for Dom, although he's not paying attention. Okay, musical theatre. Olives. Nice, Rach. Fairground rides. Heights. Chocolate. Moths. And then my favourite one, spiders. Of course, there had to be spiders in there. There had to be a spider in there. Okay, so hopefully you've maybe got a bit of an idea of what you like and what you dislike and what your friends like and dislike. So the reason I've just done this exercise is because... No more spiders. Go away. I thought that was quite a cute one. No. The point of that exercise is, I was saying you couldn't talk. You couldn't say, I like this and I don't like this. And our dogs are exactly the same. Our dogs can't say to us, I really like this, I really don't like this. They're communicating with us in different ways. There's no way for them to speak to us and tell us. So we've got to try and figure out what they like and what they don't like in kind of a different way. We've got to almost be detectives a little bit to try and sort of figure it out. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. We're going to go a bit more into body language. But first off, I'm going to go through some socialisation with you. So everyone knows what socialisation is. Socialisation is introducing dogs to other dogs, isn't it? No, it's not introducing dogs to other dogs. Well, it's not just introducing dogs to other dogs anyway. A lot of people tend to focus on socialisation. They take their dogs to the park and they throw them in and let them play with loads of other dogs, and they think, that's it, my dog's socialised, he loves other dogs. But that's a tiny, tiny bit of socialisation, and actually introducing your dog to lots of other dogs can cause problems and can actually send them in the other direction where they're overexcited, over-friendly, or even frustrated and aggressive around other dogs as well. So that's a tiny bit of your socialisation. So what socialisation is, it's the process of introducing our puppies to kind of everything that they're going to come across as adult dogs. It's quite an overwhelming task, so you've got loads of different things which we're going to go through. And I'm going to go through a little bit of a checklist with you, which is something which I wish I'd had when my dog was a puppy. So this is my dog Joey. He's just 14 now, so he was 14 in July. When I got him as a puppy, so I did get him as a puppy, he wasn't a rescue dog 14 years ago. I had never heard of socialisation. I didn't know what it was. I knew I should be doing some puppy training, but I didn't really know any more than that. And the puppy training classes that I went to, they didn't tell me anything about socialisation, so I didn't really know what to do. Where we lived on a street, so I walked him from the house. He got very well socialised to the area around the house, but we didn't necessarily tick many other things off. So things that we missed out, which then became problems, were we didn't do much socialisation with men. So he went through a phase of being reactive to men. We didn't do much sound socialisation, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this in a while, but he became quite scared of noises like sirens and beeping sounds. He went through a phase where he lunged and barked at motorbikes because we hadn't introduced him to motorbikes. That was fun. He chased sheep. That was good fun as well. He really, really, really didn't like other dogs. And these are all things that I've missed out, that I didn't spend time doing with him when he was a puppy. In particular, sorry Claire, he hates German Shepherds. I don't know what it is to this day, he doesn't like German Shepherds. Other things that we didn't do, we didn't teach him settling behaviour. We can't do anything like take him to a dog-friendly pub because, well, he's a Labrador and he would just have all of that. And we didn't really do any public transport with him. The first and last train journey that I did with him, he sat there trembling. And luckily, I've worked through most of these with him, if not all of them, and solved them. But the point is that it's taken me years and years of training with him. And if I just concentrated on that socialisation with him early on, we wouldn't have had to do any of that at all. And now, if I've got time, I'm going to show you a quick video. Am I okay for time? Yeah. And if it works. So, if it plays. So this is from Friends. I watched Friends like the first time round and loved it. I've got a little boy who's 10 now who's obsessed with Friends, so I'm getting to like relive the whole thing. You'll see why I'm playing this video. If it works, or maybe not. Maybe that was the security thing that came up at the start. Okay, that's maybe not going to work. Okay, I'll have to explain it then. Oh, there maybe? No, that's the next slide.
Can you click on the video itself?
Yeah, I've tried doing that. Anyone else? What's I don't know. It doesn't matter that much. I can talk you through it. Right, basically, for those of you that haven't seen this, everyone's seen it. Of course they have. Everyone's seen it. Yeah, everyone's seen it. So the smoke alarm battery goes on Phoebe's smoke alarm, and it does that annoying beeping thing to let you know that the battery needs changing. So she gets up in the middle of the night, rips it off the wall, thinking that solves it, and it carries on beeping away. She throws it in a bin, it carries on beeping. Eventually it kind of comes back because someone brings it back to her. So it's the beeping noise that we're concentrating on. So anyway, it would have been quite funny if it had worked. So Joey wasn't actually that sound sensitive. He was about 16 weeks when he heard his first fireworks. So because of that, he's okay with fireworks, he's used to that. However, we had an incident with a smoke alarm with him. And this was only a few years ago. And what happened was all the smoke alarms in the house got stuck on and they were all going off at the same time. And we were running around the house frantically trying to figure out how to switch them off, not realising that he was in the corner of the room, trembling, absolutely terrified. And I didn't really think much of this, didn't think it was a big deal until it happened again. We heard some beeping noises again and he did the same thing again. So just from that one experience, he decided that these sounds were absolutely terrifying. It wasn't a massive issue because the smoke alarm doesn't go off that often. But what happened, we moved house a couple of years ago, and when we moved house, the cooker made a beeping sound, and for whatever reason, he decided that that beeping sound was similar to the smoke alarm sound and just as scary, and he reacted in the same way. So every time we put the cooker on and it beeped, he'd start that trembling behaviour. And the way that I could have prevented this would have been by doing some really good quality sound socialisation when he was a little bit younger. It's fine now, we've worked on it, we've paired the sound with cheese and he's okay with it, he's totally relaxed. But again, it's a problem that we wouldn't have had to deal with if we'd done some socialisation with him. Okay, so more on the socialisation. Has anyone here broken the law? Okay. I would initially say I haven't, but does this familiar to anyone? So I had the pleasure this year of doing a speed awareness course. They're great fun, aren't they? Now, during the speed awareness course, who else has done the speed awareness course? Yeah. You have to do a hazard perception exercise. So you sit and you watch this video and you're driving along and you've got to pick out all the hazards that are on there. And I found it quite overwhelming. There just seemed to be hazards everywhere. And I really felt like that was almost what it's like for a puppy going out and about in those first few weeks. They're walking around and there's just hazards absolutely everywhere for them. So it's not just things that we think are going to be scary for them, like loud bangs and loud noises and big dogs. It's lots of other things as well. So we're going to do our own version of the hazard perception exercise. I'm going to show you some pictures and I'm going to get you to shout out the hazards that you see. Okay. Hazardous? Yeah, football could be scary, couldn't it? Child could be scary as well, definitely.
Grass could be scary.
Yeah, grass could be scary. Yeah, good one, Debbie. Okay, people walking. Yep, sticks, well done.
Walkers.
Yep, walkers. Rucksacks. So these are all things that could be scary. Here. Yep, horses. Snow. Water over there as well. Last one. Cars. Yeah, the flag's over there, well spotted. And there is, you can't see it very well, but there is a bicycle in the corner as well. Okay, so all of those things that are potential hazards basically are things that we need to be ticking off as part of our socialisation. Socialisation isn't just dogs, it's all of those different things that we've looked at. It's the bicycles and the cars and the flags and the snow and the water and the horses and everything else there. So that's what you need to be thinking. Anything that's a potential sort of threat or a hazard, it could be anything that's out there. So I've done a little kind of super socialisation checklist. So to narrow it down a little bit, things that we need to be covering are people. So we had men earlier, Jerry didn't like men particularly. So people, little people, big people, people of all ages. Animals, so you've got dogs in there, but lots of other animals as well. So around here you've got horses, sheep and things like that. Places, so urban places, rural places as well. Objects and obstacles, bridges, road signs, bins. Traffic and travel, so you've got things like being in a car or being in a bus or being on a train and also walking alongside the traffic as well. Household appliances, so your Hoover obviously is a really common one, but not just your Hoover, things like blenders, whisks, washing machines, cooker hobs beeping as well if you've got a sensitive dog like mine was. Obviously you've got your sounds, so all kinds of different sounds, so thunder, fireworks, storm sounds, wind, rain, things like that as well. Handling, so just getting them used to being picked up and handled, and also getting them comfortable being left on their own as well. It's really important that we do that. And it seems quite overwhelming, but actually, if when you've got a puppy or a young dog, you plan your outings around doing socialisation challenges, it's not so difficult. So if you think about if you're taking them to the vets, so if you take them to the vets, you're taking them to be weighed, so they've gone on, and there's a bit of an object or an obstacle there for him. He's saying hello to somebody. She's got a uniform on as well. So that's a couple of things ticked off straight away. There might be other animals in the vets as well. So there might be cats, there might be guinea pigs and rabbits and things like that to introduce them to. They're going to meet other dogs probably in the vet's waiting room as well. They're going to have to travel there somehow. So they might have to travel in the car, on the bus, on the train. And when you're near the vets, you might be walking along and you might come across kids, pavements, pushchairs and things like that as well. So just by doing one little outing like that, you're ticking off a whole wide range of socialisation challenges. So last of all, am I okay? How long have I got? Last one. So last of all, I'm just going to go through a quick checklist of body language to be looking out for. So we said before that it's really hard for our dogs to communicate with us because they can't speak to us. So how do they speak to us? So they use their body language instead. So things that we're looking out for. If we've got a scared dog, tail tucked between the legs, everyone normally knows that one. Any kind of low whining, and growling and barking is normally a sign of a scared dog as well. If they're lying on their back or cowering close to the floor, if they're shaking or trembling, panting and yawning as well can be a sign of stress. Any kind of backing away as well, or looking away or turning their head away. Whereas happy dog, they're going to go in happy, they're going to approach sniffing, loose waggy tail. They might be licking, they might have a loose wiggly body, soft floppy ears, soft relaxed eyes as well. And if they're not keen on something, what can we do to make sure that they are keen on it? Well, we can pair it with something nice. So we mentioned the Hoover before, typically something that our dogs don't like. So if our Hoover makes our dogs scared, what can we do to change that? what we can do is we can pair it with something nice. So if we pair our Hoover with cheese, is a good one. Then we end up with a happy dog. There we go, a happy dog. Okay, so hopefully that's kind of shown you the importance of socialisation. And also reading your dog and listening to your dog as well. If we listen to our puppies and we do this socialisation early on, they're less likely to end up in rescue. And just because our rescue dogs might be a little bit older than 6 months, it doesn't mean we can't do that socialisation. We still need to be doing it. We just have to go about it a little bit more carefully. So I think a lot of problems between dogs and owners, and a lot of the reasons puppies end up in rescues is just because that communication isn't there, that owners aren't reading the dogs aren't reading the owners. And if we can get that there in place, first of all, it will just make sure that we reduce that from happening. Okay, is that right? Any questions?
You just said something at the beginning about sibling puppies.
Yes.
Should you not have sibling puppies?
I wouldn't.
Or is it okay?
I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't.
Why is that?
It's just because it's twice the work. Having a puppy is hard work, isn't it? You know.
So you wouldn't have, not two puppies, but does it matter if it's siblings?
Oh right, so not from the same litter.
Purely from the same litter.
Oh yeah, no, that would be fine. Yeah. It's more when people get litter mates together. That's when it causes a problem, because obviously they're the same age and they've got the same problems at the same time. If there's a difference in age, it wouldn't cause the same sort of problems there. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want to set up your thing? Yeah, thank you, Nick.
That's
fantastic. Simplified it, the socialisation. And thanks for your honesty as well about all the mistakes that you made with Joey, because I did exactly the same thing with my first dog as well. And she came to us, Flo came to us, she hadn't been very well socialised. She was too young, really. She was probably about 8 or 9 weeks when we got her from the rescue in Sunderland. But I did everything wrong with her that you could possibly imagine, and consequently she was really hard work. She was really, really difficult dog for a lot of years. And I did the classic thing with the socialising where she didn't like other dogs. She didn't like particularly being around other dogs. And so what did I do? Well, I took her off to meet other dogs, in the park. And I looked for groups of people who were standing around talking. And I took Flo along and tried to, I said, go make friends. And she obviously was snarling and snapping at them and stuff. And when the penny dropped with me, this is pre-knowing anything about dog training even, when the penny dropped, and I sort of thought, you know what, she's not really enjoying this at all. And just started to spend a bit of time with her on my own, started avoiding people, taking a ball to the park and stuff. The relationship changed like really quickly, and then over the next few years she developed into like a really amazing dog. And that was not even through doing a lot of training with it. It was just about managing the environment and making sure I was reading her, like the body language that Nick was talking about, and which, like I say, I'm obviously not very observant, because it took me months and months, but years and years to actually see that she wasn't very happy. But yeah, so I've experienced all that as well.